Hi everybody, it's Ben here from Art Less Ordinary. So, I'm going to go back and do the same pour that I did in my very first video, just slightly different colours. So, these are ones that I kind of did myself. I hadn't really seen this type of technique before, so I thought I'll try it out, and I really like it. And I wanted to do another one because my first few videos I didn't know what I was doing, and when I was shrinking them to make them smaller size to fit on the internet, they were all upside down and mirrored, which I don't know how I did that. So I thought I would do it again proper, so then everyone can see that found it a little bit difficult to watch a little bit better. So first of all, I'll just show you the colors. I'm gonna use colors that I often use because they seem to work with this, and it's what I want to do. So I have, but I'm using different paints compared to my original one. So I have black Eraldo de Paulo as my base. So that's mixed 4 parts flotrol, 1 part paint. So I use 35 grams or mils, I'm not too sure. As long I just have it set on one setting on my scales, and whatever it is, I just keep it the same and just make 4 times that. So that is this one here. So I did 35 paint, and then I added 140 of flotrol. It actually still feels a little bit thickish, but I'm not going to water it down anymore or flotrol it down anymore, because if you do it too weak, it kind of makes the edges a little bit thin and you can see the canvas through it. So 4:1 is probably the lowest I would go, or the most flotrol I'd add to it. Then I have Permanent Light Violet in Holcroft Professional. And all these colours now are Holcroft Professional. I'm using Titanium White. I'm using pewter. So last time I used silver, but I brought a little bit of paint lately and I couldn't find where I put my silver, so I found my pewter, which is pretty close. And turquoise. So the white, turquoise and violet are all opaques, and the pewters are semi-transparent. So that is the colours. I was going to do something a little bit different, but I thought, no, I'll keep it the same this time, just so I can show you how I do it, and then I'll mix it up a little bit next time. So they're mixed 2:1. So I used 6 grams paint and 12 grams flotrol. So there's 18 grams in total in these little bottles. I thought I used to make it a little bit thinner, but I'm going by the same recipe as the first video, just so I know that I'm doing it the same, but we'll see. I can always adjust things later in another pour if I found it too not good enough. I'm going to coat the canvas in black off camera. So what I do is I pour it on, I scrape it around, and then I tip it until it covers all the edges evenly, and then that's it. So I always do my pourings on these lids. So as you can see, this is the paint that I did from, it was probably not last night's pour, it was the pour before. Part of it over here has gone dry, so you can just peel it off. But the other part, being midwinter, well, it's nearly late winter, but it's still cold. The rest hasn't dried, so I can't peel it off yet. But they're really good because the paint doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't make a mess, and when it's dry, especially in summer, they dry within a day. I can just pick it up, peel it off. Some people use the skins. I'm not really into making jewelry, so I don't bother. I just get rid of it. Occasionally when the paint's wet, I might dip little shapes into them, like wooden shapes, just so I can kind of soak up, well, not soak up, but get some of the colours that run off. But I didn't this time. So, and I got my push pins in the bottom of the canvas. So these canvases are 16 by 12 and they fit these lids perfectly. So this is why I do this, and I find it works out really well. It saves me getting too much paint everywhere, and it's easier to clean up. So I'm going to pause it while I cover the canvas in black, and then I'll come back once I've done that. Okay, now I'm back. So the canvas is covered, which is what we want. So the paint did feel a little bit thicker than normal, but each time I buy a paint, sometimes the thickness is slightly different, and this bottle might just be a little bit thicker than the others. Usually, well, put it this way, I could tell that it was thicker, but I still went with it anyway, because it's not really going to make a lot of difference because it's just the base. So now, what we want to do is we want to put the paint on and pull it forward. But instead of doing a normal swipe where we put lines through and drag it, we do it bit at a time. So, and I do one side one colour, the other side the other colour, but that's just what I do. And I am going to mix it up a little bit in the future, but for the moment, this is how I'm going to do it. So I am, first one after mixing always comes out a little bit white. So I just do a little T in the colour I want. Then we do a bit of white over the top of that. And then I go a little bit of silver over the top of that. Oh, pewter this time, sorry. Try and do it roughly the same size as your card. Then I put the card in front of it, and then I just drag it down. And I go all the way to the edge. I always give it a wipe on the edge of my tray. And I do this every time I go to do a swipe. I forget to get my paper towel ready. And then just wipe it clean. So, and I'm using different paints, so I'm going to see how this works. So I did it there, so now I'm going to move it down a little bit. And just put a little bit of a gap between where you do it, where your last colour, last swipe ended, and your new one's going to begin. And my card's a little bit smaller than the last lot. And then put it in front of it and drag it all the way down. Give your card a wipe. Make sure it's perfectly clean. And then the next one. And I didn't do a T. The reason I do the T, I didn't used to do the T, but I do the T with the first colour now because I find the colour doesn't make it all the way to the end. But you don't have to do a T. It's only what I started doing after a little while. But I did forget to do it on that swipe. See how that one there's a bit more black and that's got a bit more colour in it? And then we go again. Now you can leave as big or as little a gap as you like between them, but I find it looks better if you keep it as relatively even as possible once you start. And this one's going to go down here. So this is probably the lowest I will go because you start over it, it actually colour doesn't come out to a little bit back. And it's just started raining outside. And then we do the same again. And it doesn't matter if you get a bit of solid colour on the side, it adds to the feature. If you don't like it, then try not to do it, but I'm not fussed when that happens because I think it does actually add to the cuteness of it. Then we go, and it's just repeating the process over and over. It's a little bit more time consuming doing it instead of doing all the colours in a line, but it gives you a really, really different effect. So over the top of it and slide it down. That card's slightly bending now, so I'm going to not use that end. I'm going to turn it around and use the other end. And then we just keep going. I find it easier to do one side and then do the other side. But if you want to do this one then that one, that's fine. Just remember to change the colours of the paint that you're grabbing. And swipe over the top of it. So normally when you do a swipe, like a ghost swipe, you're actually grabbing the colour. When with this one here, you're actually grabbing the black and swiping the black over the other colour that's there. So it does give you this different effect. And there's never a right or wrong way, really. You just do what you like. Now this one I think I did a little bit too wide. So when you do it a bit wide, you definitely get these side bits that you get the colour in. That's just because your card doesn't cover the whole thing. And you can use however thick a card you want. I actually think I used to use a slightly wider card than I am now. And you can do whatever pattern you want. If you want to start at one corner and go to the other, that's fine. If you want to stagger it, that's fine. I like doing this kind of up and down, I don't know what, like a V shape in a way. I actually did start it off, my brain wasn't working. I usually do start it off at that corner, go down and then up to that corner. When I started at the middle, that's just because I'm so used to doing a normal swipe. My brain didn't focus properly. Sometimes when I do these instructional videos, I'm actually too busy thinking of what I got to do in the video that I sometimes forget what I'm supposed to actually do. If that makes sense. Makes sense to me. So you're probably going to end on, this will be the last one for the purple. And these bottles make it a lot easier. I used to use a little container and try to dab it on with a pop stick or something, but it was so much easier to put the paint in these little squirty bottles. Saved so much time. And I find it's best if you try to keep your lines relatively straight. Now, the only issue I can see with what I have done I spaced it out a little bit further as I got over this end. So the gap's got a bit bigger. Not the end of the world. Not worth something getting upset about. And using different colours would give different effects, but using opaques gives you more of these like little cells and bubble things inside. So I got to turn this canvas around. So I'm going to get paint on my fingers. And remember, don't carry your painty fingers over the top of the canvas. Going Gonna have to get myself a naughty jar for when I do bad habits like that. Only problem is I'll probably just spend the money I put in the naughty jar on more paint. So it's probably not really being naughty, it's probably an encouragement. If it's in my paint jar, I'll buy more paint. So I hope that you guys can see that well. Sorry, I got to wipe all this paint off my fingers. Using different brands will also give you slightly different effects. I'm kind of liking the way that these ones are looking, and these longer ones not as much, but you're not using a lot of paint really. The base coat is probably the main paint, but for the base coat I use 35 grams of paint, so that's not really that much when you think about it. So now I'm going to actually squirt a little bit out because I just mix them up, and usually the first bit, yeah, there we go, has more flotrol in it, so it comes out a bit milky. So now we go over here and leave a couple of centimeters between where you have done your colors, because you need to grab the black, so you don't want it too close to that purple. So when I first did this video, everyone loved it and I got really good reviews and everything, but I hadn't done another one since, and I thought, well, I really should do another one, especially now I've got my camera angles working better, and I try to line them up so they actually look like they're supposed to be part of the same picture. That colour's looking really good. I reckon that probably could have been good if it was in a deeper purple. Do a little T because it's not a lot to go. The further I go up and the more I have to drag it, the bigger that T part I do, because I want to try and drag the paint all the way to the end, so how it gets all the way to the end and not stops short. Yeah, this colour is actually working quite well with it. So anytime you can speed up the video, I do give tips and ideas as I do the video. So sometimes skipping forward, you actually do miss bits and pieces, but it's your choice what you've got time to watch, or how your day's going. Some video, I often do watch instructional videos from start to finish when I watch them, because it's usually the downtime like this is where people are actually giving the good advice. So, but at the same point, we don't all have as much time in our day. If I'm on my lunch break from work, I'll just watch a quick 5 or 10 minute video. If I'm at home and I haven't got, well, I wouldn't say I haven't got housework to do, but can't be bothered doing any housework, then I can sit down and watch videos that are going to take half an hour without stressing. So, and this is virtually just the process. I just keep going along, and I've done these in purples and yellows, violets and turquoises, blues, and I think it was a blue and yellow as well. I've done a red and yellow. I've done these in quite a few different colours. I usually always use a white, because the white gives you the extra cell kind of action, and I usually use a metallic. Doesn't always have to be a silver. I find silver just works well. So this is a pewter, which is very similar to a silver in my eyes. Sometimes looks like I went a little bit, and I'm in a tiny little bit wonky down there, but that's okay. So this is the one that has got to drag the most paint. So I'm going to do a slightly larger T. When I do larger T, I mean just the base bit, because I want the paint to get all the way down. I never used to do that at first, but I found it did actually help. So with that one, my card wasn't completely level on that side, so I kind of got the darker line going down the edge. Absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with it. Still looks cool. Everyone is a critic on their own paintings. But you know what? Don't always be too harsh on yourself. You've got to actually, if you love what you do a little bit more, you'll actually find that your paintings are actually better. And just go, oh well, too bad. I can tell you now, not everyone is perfect all the time. And we can also be a little bit self-critical about our own artwork. Don't be too hard on yourself. And I do it as well. I do find that sometimes if I do a painting, I put it aside, let it dry, keep looking at it in a couple of weeks' time. And sometimes you like it better later on. We seem to have an idea of what we're trying to paint, and when it doesn't come out the way we planned it, we can be a little bit self-critical when there's actually no need to be. Because yes, it may not have turned out exactly the way that we planned, and that could be taint our opinions. So if you look at it later on, when your plan kind of isn't so strong in your head, you actually might realize it was a pretty good painting. The only reason you were critical about it is because it wasn't what you thought you were going to paint. And if I was you, I'd try these with different paints. This is the first time I've been using the holcroft in this. Last time I did this, it's pretty solid. I don't like re-swiping. I'm not going to. I don't like re-swiping things because sometimes you can actually make more of a mess than fixing it. And if you actually can see, the white cells are popping up through it, and it's also probably best that it's on the edge of the canvas, so it's actually not as noticeable really. Well, it kind of just brings a bit more color there. So now I'm looking at this. There's only one flaw I think I have with this painting, and that is that one edge. I needed to have probably shrank the gap over this end a little bit more, so I could have fit another one in, but I'm actually going to fit one in. It's not going to be full on one. I'm going to do a little mini edge, well, not edge, but I'm going to do one that's close to the side, because I think that gap, this is too close and that's got a too big a gap. So I hope I don't mess it up, but I really want to kind of put something there. There. And then, because I've done that, I need to do a tiny little turquoise one. It's not going to be much. I think it needed something there. So edges can be a little bit difficult. That's good enough. I felt like there was just too wide a gap there, that it looked like it was a bit unfinished. Even by just doing that small slither, it's finished it off a little bit better. So, ta-da! That's tonight's artwork. So I will give it a slight torch, but I don't think torching it's going to actually do anything. It's got flotrol in it. I don't think I'm really going to get much more cells out of it. The cells are kind of there. If you were to use, pardon me, I used holcroft pewter. If you were to use something like Deco Art Extreme Sheen or Deco Art Americana Metallics, you will actually get more bleeding of the metallic colour through it. And it will make your lines a little bit more wonkier, because it seems to, what I call bleed is, you put a dot here and it goes like that and spreads out. Some metallics kind of stay in their shape better. Some really spread out and kind of, virtually kind of like if you get a drop of blood in something and it kind of bleeds across. It's the best way for me to describe it. Do keep in mind that it may change the effect of your artwork, and it may not be what you prefer. So, oh, it can be a crazy blowtorch when I get a new bottle put in. Okay, so this is giving me some more white little cells come through from the titanium white. Don't overdo it. I'm doing it really quickly over the top. It's also bringing up a little bit of that silver as well. That's good enough. So, I don't know if you saw it. It was quite quick. But in these areas, it kind of made some of the white or the colours underneath just go pop, 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 and quickly pop up. Sorry, I'm just looking for something. I put things away, and sometimes I misplace them because I'm not putting them back in the exact same spot I got them from. Here they are. So you may not see it, and I have to be extremely careful. A tiny little bit of dust that fell in, and it was going to bug me. And if you do this and you don't like it, and you think, oh, I've just wasted all that, do you know what? Get a balloon out. Balloon dip over it. Because there is paint underneath this black in areas. I'm too scared to do balloon dips. I did it once on a canvas I had ruined, and it was there was no way I was going to fix what I did. The balloon dips just made it worse, and it was just a disaster. So this is something to work on in your own way. If you want to do this, try something different. If you want, try different paints, see how you go. But I like it how you kind of get the two darker edges where the paint gets pushed to the side where you pull your card through. Doesn't always do it on every one of them. Sometimes you get it on one side and not the other. You do get kind of cells and all that, and then it kind of blends down. The longer ones you do, it kind of becomes a bit more blended. But to me, that's the fun and excitement of it. This one here actually came out pretty good. The colour's actually gone really all the way along. Maybe I pushed a little bit harder in these ones, which kind of blends the colour or makes the colour run out before it gets to the end. Maybe that one there I did a bit more lighter. But overall, it's an interesting piece. And you don't have to do it the exact same way that I do it. I do this because this is something I hadn't seen anyone do. So I did this. I did this before I even started doing videos. So what it would have been two, maybe 3.5 months ago, I probably started doing these, and I loved them, and they turned out really well. I think I put them all away, so I can't get a dry one out to show you. But I loved them. They looked cool, and they were unique. I don't see people do swipes like this, and I thought, you know what? Why not? Put it up there, show people. And you can do the same type of swipe if you like. If you want to do it slightly different and make your own little style of it, go ahead. That is what, to me, that's why I do videos. To show people what I do, and so then they can take it away and try to replicate it in their own way. It's fun. It's different. I never really thought of a name for it. I've just called it Unique Swipe because that's what it was. And yeah, we all have to try to think of new things, because to be quite honest, there's that many different pouring techniques out there, and it would have only started off as 1 or 2 techniques at the beginning, and by people experimenting, they learnt different things or tried different things, and one day they went, wow, I like that, that's cool. So this one here is definitely starts here, goes up. The point is off-sided, so then it doesn't come all the way down. I've done some where the actual point is in the middle, so it's more even. I like it how it's not exactly even. Sometimes your brain actually likes things when they're a little bit off-centered. Now, that is roughly it. I will come down and show you a closer look. I do hope you enjoyed this this style of swipe. It is different, and it's not going to be to everyone's cup of tea. To me, I actually quite like it, and I think they will suit rooms quite well. It's easy to go, my room is these 2 colours. I'm going to incorporate that colour and that colour, and it's going to fit into my room, and you know what? It should do. And it's not overly abstract for people that don't like abstract, but it's also not... It's not something that looks like something, so it's not a real picture painting. But yeah, I'll bring you down, have a closer look, and we'll see. Okay, there we go. Now this was a longer video than I thought. So the purple or the light violet in the camera is coming up quite pale. It's a little bit more darker than that, but the teal is pretty accurate to the colour. So there we go. So this is what the effects look like. By swiping from the black over the colours, you kind of get that unusual start to it. You get these cool effects, and there's like little bubbles of silver. Okay, where are we? Little bubbles of silver and white coming up. The camera doesn't like focusing on flotrol. And see how these ones, where the paint goes longer, it gets a little bit more streakier. But that just adds to the effect, so you get the kind of cells, and then it streaks out. I think the turquoise actually gave a little bit better results. Probably not so much. It's probably just a bit more noticeable because of the colour. Probably should have used a slightly darker purple. But it is darker in my eyes. The camera's not picking it up well. But there. This is my unique swipe, and sorry for the long video, I didn't realise it was going so long. Try it at home, see for yourself, let me know what you think, and like normal, subscribe if you haven't, share, comment, like, and all the rest. So I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.